Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Happy Monday, everyone. Well, I guess for all Denver sports fans, this is a horrible Monday. This is a horrible Monday. I don't know if you saw the description of this video. Every team that we have lost. I mean, I guess not the Mammoth and the Rockies, or the Rapids. Well, a lot of big teams have lost. A horrible game, horrible weekend. I looked up Blue Monday, when that is. Monday, January 20th. But I think we can all agree that for Denver people, today feels a lot like Blue Monday. Let's start with the Denver Broncos. Losing 16-23 to the LA Chargers after 3 consecutive wins. It was time for all Broncos fans to take a step back again and realize that we might not, after all, be that great of a team. They were down 23-0 after 3 quarters. They came back to 23-16, but it was all way too late to really make a difference. We have a clip here of Sean Payton about the game.
Obviously, look, a disappointing loss. Really, we did all the things that you can't do in a game like that. I mean, we knew the type of game that it was going to be. And so, we turned it over twice in the first half. That led to points. And then you start looking at the time of possession when you do that. They ran the ball better than we did. We mustered up some offense late in the game, but all of us, starts with me. We got to be a lot better, obviously offensively, but we got to protect the ball better, and that's what I saw. So we'll go from there. We got a short week. Once we're finished tonight, we'll be done talking about this game.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit later about that short week, because Thursday night they're playing again. But first about this game, it started with a very early injury for Pat Surtain II, the incredible defenseman who had 2 interceptions at the last game, helped the Broncos back into the game, and won them the game basically over the Raiders. He got injured with the first offensive play by the Chargers, and that definitely didn't help. I mean, they're talking about him being the best defensive person in the NFL right now, and you lose him for the rest of the game. Sean Payton said this about PS2.
In losing Pat Surtain early, did that, I mean, obviously he's a great player, but did that also take some air out of the team? And then what is his prognosis? Any chance he can play Thursday? Or you think he's out?
He's in protocol. He's in protocol. I'm going to answer your first question. I don't know that. Look, anytime you lose one of your top players, you'd have to ask the players. But I think that, kind of the next man up, and here we go. Not having had a chance to look at the film to tell you how all the other guys played, I know we struggled just getting off the field defensively on third down, and we didn't do a number of things well today. So that's kind of where it's at.
Yeah, I can understand that eventually it's not just about one player, and you need to be able to keep playing, even if you lose a player like Pat Surtain II. Cortland Sutton said the same thing afterwards. He was like, we can't blame this on Pat Surtain getting injured, and then we still need to figure it out. There's still a game to play, and we're a professional team. We're all professional athletes. There's the next guy that needs to take over. But they didn't. They lost badly. And it was interesting to hear from the locker room, which we were still allowed in, by the way. I don't know if you've heard, but right now, we're not allowed in the locker rooms anymore during the week, which is a great thing, by the way. Why are we in a locker room where players are changing? But I guess during the games or after the games, that's still fine. Anyways, we were there. Jason Thompson, our videographer, was in there, interviewed 8 people. We're not going to show you all of that right now. But if you go to our Twitter or our YouTube, We have all those interviews, and it's definitely worth it to hear from them. One thing I wanted to point out, though, is how different players saw the loss in different ways. And I thought it was interesting to hear them, one of them saying that like the Charger, which is way better, one of them saying that the Charger did nothing special. Let's just see the clip.
I feel like they ran the ball pretty good. So once you do that, it kind of gets the defense on balance, you know. And he made some good throws, found the holes in our defense. And, I mean, he just did his job. It was nothing really that they did that was special, you know. But we just didn't execute how we have been doing in the past weeks.
You know, I mean, give them credit. Their first 15 was, you know, kind of some stuff that we hadn't really seen on tape. So, but, you know, division games, you kind of got to expect that. And I think we got to do a little bit of a better job of adjusting to that a little quicker.
What was it about third down, getting off the field there against Herbert and their offense?
I mean, give them credit. You know, obviously, you know, Herbert's a top quarterback in this league. You know, knows how to make the right progressions. And I think they did a good job in the protections of, you know, leaving guys inside to kind of stop us a little bit, but still given time. So, you know, we had a little bit of success, I think, in the second half, kind of, you know, to get in there a little bit more. But, yeah, I mean, we just got to, like I said, figure it out quicker.
I think that the Chargers went out and they executed the game plan that they wanted to execute. They wanted to be able to run the ball, effective time possession, take the ball away, and then we gave them two turnovers, which ultimately, you know, didn't help us in terms of time possession, and it played into the hand of what they wanted to do.
Yep. I think most of you guys know now that I am pretty new to Denver. Yeah, I'm one of those guys from the Netherlands. So a lot of this stuff was new to me, and I'm starting to understand more and more what it feels like to be a Broncos fan, to get your hopes up and to be smacked down again and to lose games. I mean, if you look at the scoreline, it's not even that bad. It's just how the game progressed and how they were down 23-0. And now with PS2 out, let's see what they can do Thursday night, because they have a primetime game Thursday night football against the New Orleans Saints, which is Sean Payton's old team. So that's going to be very interesting. Like I said, without Pat Surtain II, because we have the protocol here. There's 5 steps that every injured player needs to go through. One of them is, I mean, I can look at it quickly because it's very small, I know. The first one is limited activity, so they can't really do anything. They just need to take rest. Then they do a little bit of exercise. Then they do football-specific exercise on their own still. Then number 4, club-based non-contact training drills. And the last one, point 5, or step 5, is when they can get back into the team. 5 steps in 4 days. I think that's a little too much. So I don't think we're going to see Pat Surtain II this Thursday. So let's see if they can do it without him. They should be able to. But we all know the Broncos. Don't get our hopes up again. All right, moving on to the Avalanche. Also because at 11, so in 16 minutes, we're going to have off-field here. So got to wrap this up quickly. But the Avalanche, let's start with some positives. They scored 8 goals in 2 games. They know how to score. The bad side, the opponent doesn't even have to know how to score, and they still will. Because that's exactly what happened against the Columbus Blue Jackets, one of the worst teams in the league, and they just scored one after the other. 8 goals in 2 games, and they have nothing, nada, niente, zilch, or as we like to say in Dutch, that was fucking horrible. How can you play a game like that against the Columbus Blue Jackets? Loosely translated. Most of this stuff, I mean, you can feel it a little bit, is because of the goaltending. The first game was real bad, and this seemed to be like an easy, quick picker-upper against a not so good team, scoring a lot of goals, just winning this game and moving on. The opposite happened. The last game, Coach Bednar was very, very strict and very negative almost about Georgiev. This time he chose his words a little more carefully. Let's hear from him.
It's 2 games in a row, so it's frustrating because you go to work in camp and you want to have a good start to the season. You do. You don't want to be digging holes and then trying to climb out of them. But it's a long year, okay? So I I get that there's a level of frustration, but Gorgie he's our guy. He's our starter, right? And I have full faith that he has the ability, the talent, the work ethic to bounce back and win us hockey games. It's a mental game right now, right? So we'll regroup, and then we have other areas of our game too that we have to get better at. It's a little bit of a mental game from our team. Like, we go down in the first period, and I could feel like the heaviness in our room right away. You know, everyone wants to come out, put on a good show, play to their best ability in front of our fans. All understandable, but it felt like, you know, we had a whole season on our shoulders, and we're 4 periods into the season. You know, so the message is you got to have the commitment required on the defensive side of it. We have some details that we have to clean up. We looked at them the other day. We made a couple mistakes tonight that I didn't like. But, like, we're working hard. We're competing hard. We have to be able to trust that everyone going on the ice is doing that. And then you got to free yourself up to relax and play instinctual hockey, on your toes hockey.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a very heavy game for the players after that Vegas loss, and as if it was everything or nothing. And I think that's a Dutch saying. Anyways, it felt very heavy, and the players felt that too. Like McKinnon, this was, I think, at the last moment where he broke his stick and got a 10-minute suspension. It was pretty bad. The whole thing all over. But we got to remember, there's 80 more games to go. This was the first 2 games. If they figure out the goaltending, which could also be with Georgiev, I think a lot of this is mental stuff. Or without Georgiev, they have this new guy, Kaapo Kakkonen from Finland, who actually has a better save percentage than Georgiev right now. We'll see what's going to happen in the next few games. We have another clip, actually, of Devon Taves, the defenseman. He had a good summary of what happened, what went wrong during this game.
It's another game where you guys, the analytic numbers say that you guys played pretty well defensively. It seems like the pucks just keep going in. How frustrating has this game, these first 2 games been?
Yeah, I mean, pretty well is not good enough. We need to be better. From goaltending out, defending, we got to limit grade A's. Offensively, we got to create more and sustain more. So it's a work in progress through and through. But, pretty well is not going to cut it in this league.
Nope. I was at Ball Arena this Saturday, not for the game, but before the game, to talk to fans about just some dumb questions. One of those questions was, do you think the Avs are going to win over or under 50 games? A lot of them were very, very positive. They were like, of course we're going to win over 50 games. That happened the last 3 seasons. But now, with Georgiev with Georgiev having a really bad stretch, a lot of them were also cautious about it. Check out our socials in the next few days for that clip. One plus, though, the young guys, especially Ivan, who scored his first goal in his NHL career and just looked very good overall.
It's the moment you dream of, getting your first NHL point, but it would have been more sweet if we won the game. We had a lot of scoring chances, so we got to be better at that.
Devon was just talking to us about how you guys can improve that offensively. Just from your perspective, what are some of the areas that you're saying that you guys could be a little bit better?
Yeah, I think we should sharpen up on some details because some of those goals were just, you got this guy in a slot shooting and it shouldn't be happening. So sharpen up on those details. And, the finish wasn't there. We had a lot of scoring chances.
Your introduction to the NHL in the regular season has had some difficult moments, but what can you take from this to find some confidence in yourself moving forward?
Yeah, it's every shift gives me more confidence, especially like this game was way better for my confidence. And just getting on the power play kind of gives me more confidence, and playing more and more with every game, my confidence going up, which is great.
Ivan. Remember the names. Name? Ivan Squared, remember him. Sherry. Right? You understand what I meant. Anyways. The Avs could redeem themselves already tonight because they're playing the New York Islanders at home again. The Islanders, a good, strong team who lost their first 2 games, one of them against the Stars, so definitely a strong contender. But we'll see if the Avs can redeem themselves tonight. Moving on to CU Buffs. There's going to be a lot of deja vu here. The Buffs started the game not so strong and ended it a lot better. Still lost. I think that was the Broncos against a Kansas State, which no one really expected a lot of. That was the Columbus Blue Jackets. There's a lot of deja vu here, and the game definitely never felt like it was going really well. People talk a lot about Deion Sanders, and he brought his kids with him to CU Boulder. There's a lot of criticism about him. I think as journalists, we need to do that. We need to be critical. I mean, there's a lot of criticism on Bednar and Georgiev right now too. There's always been a lot of criticism on Sean Payton, especially last year with Russell Wilson. And I'm sure that we'll hear a lot more about that now again after this loss. So I think criticism in and of itself is not bad. I think Deion Sanders as a person is a great guy. As a coach, I'm not sure. But what I loved today or yesterday was when he started talking about his own son, Shiloh Sanders. We have a clip here.
We didn't execute. I mean, the play calls are there. We didn't execute. We missed a block here. We missed this there. We missed this there. We just didn't execute. I mean, play calling was definitely suffice. We didn't execute, and I believe we surrendered 6 sacks to their 4, which, in comparison, it wasn't bad. And Shedeur got to get the ball out of there at times as well. But we're better than that. We're better collectively than what we showed tonight.
Hey, Coach. Jake Schwantz, DNVR.
Pleasure.
Just wanted to ask you about Shiloh, just what you thought about his play tonight.
I thought he played horrible. I thought he was rusty. I thought he didn't have his footing. I thought he wasn't breaking down. He was coming up trying to make the play, but open field one-on-one tackle with that kind of back is that ain't an easy task. But he's going to do better. I know what he has in him.
Yeah, very, very not negative, but definitely very critical of his own son, Shiloh, who came back after an injury that he sustained during the Nebraska game a few weeks ago. Some people might say that he shouldn't do this in front of media, just keep that in the locker room. I actually think this is a great thing to do. Just say it like it is. These guys aren't amateurs. Well, are they? No, they're not amateurs. For example, Shedeur Sanders made $5 million in NIL deals this year. These guys are pros. They can take on some heat. And even if they make a little bit less, the level that they're playing at, and especially a lot of these guys getting ready for the NFL, or at least wanting to get into the NFL, I think you can take some heat, or you should be able to take some heat. I heard stories about the college teams, the college players, not being taken a little bit softer when they didn't make enough, or when they didn't make any money yet with NIL deals, so before 2021. I don't really understand that. They fill out stadiums. Their head coach is usually the highest paid guy, the highest paid government official in most states. How can you say that this is all just amateur stuff? Even if the guys aren't making a lot of money, Shedeur Sanders obviously is one of the highest paid guys in all of college sports. But even if you make a little bit, you play at this super, super high and competitive level. I don't think there's anything wrong with calling out players when they're not performing, also for media. So if journalists are watching, just be critical. That's your job. That's literally your job. I was in Boulder on Saturday, not at the game, just before the game around the stadium. Man, this is a deja vu. See? As a Dutch guy, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I've never been to a college game. I need to go to a college game. But it was weird seeing older guys, like 50, 60, 70-year-old guys, tailgating 6 hours before the game, having this crazy huge setup to watch kids. I mean, I just said that they're pro athletes, which they are, but they're also still very young. Like, why not just go to the Broncos? That being said, I will never understand college sports fully. And that's something that I'm sad about. It's not something that I want to portray to all of you guys that college sports are weird and bad. I hate that I don't feel the same way you guys feel about going to a college and then having your whole college campus just being torn apart and just crazy stuff happening there on campus for a sports game. I told my wife that, like, imagine going to a college and then suddenly that whole weekend, everything is just torn up for this game. And she was like, well, that's why people go to these games or to these colleges. Yeah, something that I'll never understand. I'm definitely jealous of that. But let me know if I should go to more college games just to start feeling that a little bit more. All right, moving on to a little bit of short news. We have a few minutes to go, starting with the MLB playoffs. Who watches MLB playoffs? Well, apparently everyone, because they keep beating records. This was the Dodgers versus Padres was the most watched division series since 2015 on Fox, with 7.5 million people who saw the Dodgers clinch a spot in the finals by winning 2-0 against the San Diego Padres, winning the series 3-2. And yesterday, those finals took off with the Mets versus the Dodgers. The Dodgers won 9-0. The viewership numbers aren't out yet, but I'm guessing that that's even higher. So I'm not going to say anything bad about MLB baseball anymore. People are still loving it, watching it, and you can see it in the numbers. Then to the Denver Nuggets. It's short news because it's just preseason, but yes, also the Nuggets lost 118 and 114 against the Phoenix Suns. This is 3 losses now in preseason, and I'm wondering if the team is ready for this season. They have Russell Westbrook now, but they lost KCP, and you can really see that in the team on the court, especially with three-pointers. And Michael Porter Jr. talked about that with the three-pointers.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of players that, they like to get to the mid-range, they like to get to the rim. So we know in this day and age, teams score a lot of points when they get some threes up. So, I don't have my partner in crime, KCP. He was kind of a volume shooter last year. So we don't have any really volume three-point shooters. I think Jamal, he'll shoot some threes, but he likes to get to the midi. Joker should probably take a couple more a game. But I know, it's going to be up to me and Julian to really be the volume three-point shooters, I think. I got to, not force anything, but definitely look for my opportunities to shoot the three.
It's just preseason, but I do have some concerns for this season, and I'm not the only one. So let's see how the Nuggets will do in actual season and if they can get some three-pointers on the board. Last story today, the WNBA finals are happening right now. The New York Liberty beat the Minnesota Lynx, and it's now 1-1 in the series. Why this is short news is because I don't watch a lot of WNBA, but that doesn't take away from anything, because the viewership of the WNBA went up, of the WNBA playoffs went up 142% since last year. Imagine that. So much growth in the WNBA, and I love it. I love how more popular women's sports are becoming. Role models for young girls. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were out in the first round. The Las Vegas Aces with Angel Reese lost the semifinals against the New York Liberty. The next game between the Liberty and the Lynx is this Wednesday in New York. So definitely check that out. Hey, Nate. And there's Nate right now, because in 1 minute, maybe a few more minutes, we'll have Off Field here with Nate Jackson, Liv Moods, and Brandon Cristal talking about everything Broncos, how much they suck. Kidding. But definitely there's a lot to talk about with Pat Surtain's injury, with how they're going to get back in just 4 days for Thursday Night Football against the New Orleans Saints. So definitely check that out in a few minutes. Off court at 12:30 with Liv Moods talking about the Denver Nuggets preseason. Everything that I just said, but way better and way more. And then at 1:30 off ice with Jesse Montano, JJ Jerez, and Megan Angley. They're at morning skate right now because, like I said, tonight they're playing the Islanders. We got all the podcast footage for you, all the podcast content. So definitely check that out at 1:30. Thank you guys for watching. I love you all. Stay healthy, and I'll see you next week.